top flip-flops.
Grapaholics mixtapes.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 81 of High Top Flip Flops. As always, this is Krish. I'm here with Navek and our lovely friend Lateefa, who, if you've listened to the podcast before, you would have heard her on an episode along with Hadi, who is Lateefa's co-host on their podcast, Two Peas in a Pod. Lateefa, where can people listen to Two Peas in a Pod?
You can find us on all your favorite streaming platforms. So iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, etc. Or you can go to our main page of Anchor. So just look in Two Peas in a Pod, and you'll find us there.
Beautiful. For those who don't know as well, Lateefa not only is a podcast, she's a DJ. She's on ISO radio every other Saturday at 1 p.m.
I think it's like I changed it to monthly now. So
Monthly. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. This is our Valentine's, Palentines, Galentines, Ballantines, Palestine episode. You know,
Yeah.
I had
What
so
up,
many.
Palestine?
Oh my gosh.
I had a few people message me that when we shared on our Instagram, you know, that we wanted people to share some stories or ask some questions. A few people, when I had written Palentines, people were like, "Oh, damn! I thought you said Palestine." And I'm like, "Are you sure you want to hear us talk about Palestine?" I don't think we
Exactly.
have. Unfortunately, I don't think. You know, outside of the very kind of like base level commentary, I don't think we have a whole lot to say. That's a
Mhm.
value. But as we have done in the past, we're gonna dive into some ridiculous, you know, dating and friendship stories that people have shared. We're gonna answer a couple questions, maybe do a little reflection as well, you know, because navigating relationships of all kinds through this pandemic has been a challenge, I'm sure,
Mm.
for people in a variety of different ways. So we'll get into that as well. But Nivek, man, how are you feeling today?
Feeling quite well, I want to say.
Okay,
You know, um, can I be honest here?
of course,
Okay, is this a space for honesty?
absolutely, Nivek.
Of course.
In the morning, I got back. So I went away for the weekend.
Okay,
First and foremost, I had to get away, of mainly because the situation that I'm in currently.
hmm
Myself and the other party both live at home,
Mm.
right?
okay.
And
Keeping it
as you
legal.
guys,
I appreciate. I appreciate you keeping to the legal terms here. The other party.
yeah, that's how people speak. And so we're both, we live at home, and most people know my situation at home isn't the greatest.
hmm
After I told that story on the podcast last week of my dad trying to murk me, I
hmm
got a lot of LOLs. Ah, a lot of odd. And I was like, really? That's what you think it's hilarious? Like it was kind of wild, but hey,
Yeah.
whatever. That happened, and it's okay. It's a part of my life.
Damn.
And took a trip out the city this
Okay.
weekend,
Wow. Wow.
and earlier today, I had a pack of edibles, as most people might
Okay.
have,
Okay.
Okay.
and I ate half to the point where I didn't feel most of my neck for most of the day. And if you want honesty, that's honesty for you. So,
How are you feeling
uh,
now?
you know what? I fell asleep in my chair for about 3 to 4 hours, so now I'm okay.
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 Okay, that's good.
Got the bones moving again,
Bones moving.
and this is my process in terms of recording.
Mm. This is
You
what you
know,
need for yourself.
yeah. So to get the juices going again, to get the energy flowing
Right.
on this podcast, I have to do what I have to do, and that's what I did.
Right. You know, for those listening, you know, we haven't really fully thought it through. I mean, we've joked about it throughout the course of this us recording this podcast. But as time passes, we're thinking more and more about opening up a Patreon, and just to be clear, supporting us in this way financially, it allows for Nivek to purchase and sustain this bi-weekly edible consumption to make this podcast happen. So if you want to know where your money's going, full transparency, Nivek's going to his local his
He's
local
getting lit,
cannabis dealer. Yeah,
basically.
he's
Getting
getting
lit.
No,
I'm joking.
no,
I'm
guys,
joking.
I don't do it
I'm
for
joking.
a lot of people do it for fun and it's a good recreational activity. I don't do it for that purpose. I
Mm.
do it to ultimately become the potter that people want to hear. They don't want to hear someone who's yeah, I got home today and I did a bunch of math. Like they don't hear that. They want to hear the raw excitement, that energy off the voices that they're
Yeah,
hearing.
yeah.
Right, 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 right.
And I'm not saying I do this bi-weekly. I'm not even saying I do this monthly.
Mhm.
I might be saying I do this every other day.
Oh, shit.
But no, not that at all. But yeah, and then I do that and I'm ready for the work week and I'm ready to go.
Okay.
Oy, oy.
Okay.
No filter in the vague. That's what it is.
No filter Nivek. NFN.
Basically, I'm going in today.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
gonna say whatever. If
Okay.
that's okay with you guys. But you know what? Most importantly, how are you guys doing? Let's talk about yourselves.
Lateefa,
You know,
tell us about this weekend for you. How you been feeling leading up to this episode? It's obviously very high profile.
Mm.
It's really serious. So.
Yeah, no, yeah, I've been nervous
Mm.
for this topic because first of all, you said we were experts and like as soon as I put it on my story, I was like, "Oh, so you're an expert now?" I'm like, I really don't be knowing. I just go about
You know
navigating
what?
friendships and relationships like everybody is blind. So yeah, it was funny on on that end, but this weekend was pretty chill. Crazy work week, so I was like, I need this long weekend. The
Mm.
white man has me shackled up.
Shackled.
true.
Yeah, chained up everything.
Oh,
But no, it was good. It's just chill. Me and my partner had a little getaway, like a drive out of the city, which was nice. Went for a hike. Definitely wore the wrong shoes for the event.
Mm. Mm.
I wore Doc Martens to go on a hike.
Shit.
yeah.
Very stupid, but still enjoyable. But that was pretty much it. Cause what can you do in this pandemic?
What can you do? Great question.
Doing
And
nothing.
you know what? The more you know, Doc Martens in a lot of situations would have helped you out, I imagine. But
Uh-huh. Like stomping on people for sure,
that's
but
right.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely not on a hike.
That's all right. Lessons learned.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I was gonna say the fact I'm glad you got outside. Lovely weekend here in Southern Ontario.
Yeah.
This is now a podcast that Nivek specifically said he didn't want to be about. Yeah, we just got outside for a little walk, and then we came inside, had a nice cup of tea, and then it was a lovely afternoon.
It was pretty much that because there's literally there's nothing
Yeah.
else that I can report on.
Yeah.
That's why we need to be finishing
For
half
real.
a bag of edibles like Nivek,
Facts.
because
Facts.
we need to be living our lives. We need to be
I
napping
hear
in a
that.
chair for 4 hours straight.
Yo, I
You know.
hate that. I
Yeah.
won't even lie. I was napping before getting on the podcast too.
Listen, you got to do what you
Exactly.
got to do.
Mm.
And disclaimer, because we got to be very clear. There was single apostrophes on the outside of the word expert in our IG caption to make very clear,
Mm-hmm.
we're not experts. Disclaimer. As
Mm-hmm.
Lateefa
Mm-hmm.
said, we're just people trying to navigate. Oh, by the look on Nivik's face, maybe it's just Lateefa
Uh,
and I
yeah, I
who are
think I'm
not
gonna be
experts.
honest. I consider myself an expert in this
Oh,
place,
Oh,
and I think you guys.
apologies.
I think you should as well. Stop bringing yourselves down like this. If you've been in this I guess we can say love game, as they say. If you've been in it for some years at
almost hit a
least,
spit take there.
the love game. If you've been in it for at least 3-4 years, you know how this is because it's not an easy game. Especially if you look a certain way.
Mm.
Okay.
Wait, hold on.
You
What do you
know?
mean by that?
Whoa, let's go there, expert. I want to
are-
hear that story.
Are you speaking about
It's
like,
called ugly.
Ooh.
No, I'm kidding.
But beauty is in the
wow,
eye of the
No.
beholder, no?
wow,
So what
oh
is
Exactly. You're so
ugly?
right.
What is
You're so right.
ugly?
Nobody is ugly. Everybody's beautiful.
listen to
No,
him,
no,
listen to him. This guy can't even
no,
hold a straight face.
no. You
Oh
know
my
what?
lord.
I 100% don't mean that. If you have a child that isn't the best looking, I'm sure they're inside they're the best. Okay, and
Fake man.
we need more
The
people that
realness.
we need more inner. There's too much outer beauty. How about some more inner beauty?
Oh,
We're
very
tired
good.
of this
Well
outer
done.
beauty.
Yeah.
So
Way to work your
Yeah.
way around there, Debate.
Literally, this is a good
exactly.
save.
This guy ran
Um,
his 400-meter dash for sure. Getting right back around.
and
Okay.
and real quick, the way I'll measure if you're an expert or not is about 2 weeks ago, the feature film Malcolm and Marie was released.
Hmm,
Mm,
Have you guys seen the film?
I have not.
no, I don't
But
think I will
Really?
either.
oh yeah, how
Mm-mm.
come? How come? What was
I've
stopping?
just heard it's very chaotic, very triggering.
Mm,
Um, and yeah, I think people already broke it down enough for me to understand what it's what it's about. So I think I'll pass.
true.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
What you know what, I've been on the fence
Mm-hmm.
from the trailer, which is I think yeah, that's the only thing I've seen from it. I was hopeful that this dialogue, because it looks like it's only those two actors in the film, that it would it would be a dialogue heavy film, which generally speaking I quite enjoy, and had the potential to maybe really dive into something quite deep when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to this relationship and just relationships in general. But yeah, on a few instances I had also heard that it was not only a fair bit disappointing, but um maybe didn't live up to the excitement that exists. So I mean, Nivek, yeah, if you'd like to speak more on it as the sole viewer of the film, without spoilers, please let us know what you thought.
Gonna be real, it
Hmm.
was pretty scary for me
Hmm.
because felt like I was the inspiration for the film. Like
Oh wow. Wow.
I related heavily to it. And I don't know if you should. The goal is to not relate to the movie.
Mm,
That's like if your relationship's the opposite of, I guess, even the first 10 minutes, then that's a good relationship.
mm,
But
Okay.
if it's mimicking that film, then like, ooh, you
Right.
went through it,
Right.
you know? And you know what? That's the thing. Like in that kind of relationship, and I guess if you watch the whole thing, it's like, both of them say bad things to each other.
mm.
Okay.
But some warranted, of course, a lot not. Um, like, well, basically, I'll tell you the premise, like the first beginning scene.
Okay.
Mhm.
Denzel Washington's son releases a movie. I'm sorry, he's gonna be called that. Like,
Here's a name, man.
That's
it's
tough times, man. You gotta you did that to yourself, really and truly.
like the film is starring Zendaya and Denzel Washington's son.
Mm,
And, and you know what? Yeah, it's maybe obvious because his father is the goat,
Okay.
right?
mhm,
But also, I'm not really getting like the solid actor kind of vibes from him. I'm not getting
Hmm.
the authentic performance. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Hmm.
mm,
I'm not always buying it
Okay.
in certain movies.
mm,
But regardless, the character drops a movie
Hmm.
and it releases. They're at a party, and the guy comes back to the house celebrating. He's all happy, dancing, music, drinking. She's kind of pissed, but you don't know what it's about. And it kind of goes, she makes him some mac and cheese. There's some argument there.
Okay.
Some people are like, oh, he dropped a movie and she made him mac and cheese. It depends on how you feel about that. You know.
What?
Um. Well, some people are saying, whoa, like maybe it should be a better meal than
Oh, fucking.
Kraft mac. Okay. No,
Who the hell is making that claim? That's what I want to know. Jesus.
some guys on the internet. I saw some
Classic. I'm
reviews.
not surprised.
I've read reviews.
Oh,
I've
yes.
read good reviews there. But anyways, back to this. So she's definitely mad, and she's mad about is warranted. We find out.
Okay.
Like it kind of makes sense. He never really thanked her in his acceptance
Mm.
speech. That's what it started with.
Mm.
And
Mm.
a lot of us have been there. You get up to a point, you don't thank the person that got you there. You thank the other people.
Okay.
Those other people.
Have you been there?
And
Have you been there, Naveen?
Yeah, I want to know.
It's like I haven't been there.
really,
Neither have I.
No, we haven't been there.
wow. Well, I have
We
to
don't know
also
what it's
say
like at the top, man. Sorry, we don't. We don't know what it's like at the top.
no. It's not like I didn't drop a film, of course.
Yes.
It's something. It was something much, 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 much smaller.
Mm.
And I didn't. I might have not acknowledged the person, and
Mm.
that definitely. And I was also much younger. I've learned from my mistakes. Trust me.
Mm-hmm.
And to loop back to what we're discussing, and that those kind of mistakes made me the expert I believe I am today. And we're
Okay.
all experts in our own way here,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? In terms of love.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Well, that is the truth. I'm not gonna lie about that one.
You brought that. Hey, that was very
That was
poetic,
really good.
Nivek. Yeah. Well done. Well done.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, that's phenomenal monologue.
Mhm.
Um, it's fair. We have our lived experiences to reflect on in particular, right? What we've
Mm-hmm.
gathered from the kind of people around us as well. And hey, yeah, nothing wrong with sharing our reflections here.
Mm.
Um, why don't we jump right into some of the stories that we got? We got a few ridiculous stories. Some kind of intense here, but a couple fairly wild, and maybe we'll share some reactions here. I'm gonna read one of the first ones here. Someone says here, I've went on a date with the head legal counsel for a Fortune 500 company. She was obsessed with kissing. Before, after, just too much kissing. They weren't very skilled. It was too frequent and just too wet. Um, damn, I when I first read it, I cringed, truthfully, just thinking about
Oh
the
my
situation
gosh.
my dear friend was in. We'll keep everyone anonymous here, just to keep things safe. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, damn. How how have either of you ever found yourselves in a situation like that? And
Nope. Definitely
Wow.
not. And if anything, that would have been a cutoff right from the jump.
true.
Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Navik? Is that something you've ever found yourself in?
Yeah.
Navik's like, I am that person.
I'm the Fortune 500 guy. I'm that good. I'm like, for a second, I was like, wait, do I work for a Fortune 500 company?
Are
But
they
no,
talking about me?
but no, I'm not. But what I have to say about this is the person said they like to kiss a lot, which is
Mm,
not a bad thing
mhm,
necessarily.
Mhm.
mm,
Some people just like affection, and you
mm.
gotta give that to them.
That's right.
They weren't very skilled. It was too frequent and too wet. Okay, now, yeah, I've been in this situation a very long time ago,
Okay.
and you don't know what to do, and you ultimately don't know what to say here, because you're not gonna tell this person that they kissed like a 16-year-old, you know?
But why wouldn't you? Like, isn't like you're also not gonna deal with it?
It's true.
Mm, good question, but the thing is, I don't know why. Hey, I agree, but I heavily disagree. No, I'm
Fair
kidding.
play. Okay. Okay.
No, no, okay. No, no. I mean, the thing is, people are afraid to confront people because they don't always take it the best. Like if
Mhm.
I said,
Okay.
even if I said a nice way, hey, you kiss a little odd, it could use some improvement. No one's
Yeah.
gonna be like, what? Like you think I'm bad at kissing? Like
Mhm.
Mm.
I learned from the best. Like I learned how to kiss you
From a
know,
Fortune 500 company.
I work for a Fortune 500 company. Like
Mm.
then I'll get into that, and then you got to prove them that job titles aren't your life, and then
Ooh, yeah.
it gets into a rabbit hole of them showing their worth by their salary.
Oh.
It all started because they kiss like that, like what I did right now.
Like,
Yeah.
you literally reenacted Donkey from Shrek there. That's
Wow.
what you did.
That's what I did.
Wow. Lateefa, you said it would be like that would be a red flag. You would kind of stop things there in that moment. Contrary to I mean, to what Nivek kind of mentioned here, how would you handle that in that moment? Because that is I can imagine a very uncomfortable thing to try and manage in that moment.
For sure. I think it's just like you just have to be really raw and honest with the person and just say, listen,
Mhm.
um, you I don't like the way that, you go about this. Maybe. And it's not made, but like it's just it's definitely like the tone that you use with the person and the
Mhm.
words and how you say it.
Right.
And I think like the person will probably take it in a better way where you're like helping them.
Hope so. Yeah.
Because if you're like, yo, the way that you kiss is really terrible, they're obviously gonna get really hurt about it. There's gonna be a huge argument, but
Mhm.
I think if you're just like nice about, hey, you know what, I think I prefer this, or I
Mm.
think you can do this.
Right.
Um, I'm sure they'll.
You hope
Mhm.
so. You hope
I
so.
hope so. I hope
Because in the
so.
other case, this person's a head of legal counsel. They might
Oh,
They,
yeah.
I mean, a
they might
person
find a
like
way to
that.
murk you.
Oh
Head
man, a
legal
person like
counsel.
that has a huge ego, so they'll definitely take
Yeah.
it a different way.
Yeah, you gotta wonder. You gotta wonder. Or
Yeah.
maybe they're clearly they're used to some legal battles. They've
Mhm.
faced some criticism. They've faced some opposition before.
Mhm.
So we hope them well, or we wish them
Based
well.
opposition.
Exactly.
Faced opposite, faced
Exactly.
some operas before.
They felt, oh, they faced off. That's a good way of putting that. Jeez.
That's right. That's right.
Um,
Because that's something in any kind of relationship. That's there's got to be room for the honesty, right?
Yeah.
With a base level of respect, of course, and that's something we want to
Exactly.
talk about. Is there's gotta it's important, or at least a pattern I see in the kind of long-standing relationships I have is that there's outright honesty,
Mhm. Mhm.
but throughout the course of those friendships and relationships, even with my partner, is that there's base level of respect, right? Is like at the end of the day, even if I'm told something that maybe hurts a little bit or like bruises my ego, especially,
Mm.
um, I can revert back to be like, that didn't come from a place of malice, that didn't come from a place
Mm.
of like trying to make me feel bad.
Mhm.
As easy as it is to maybe interpret that way. So, um, yeah, good show. This is the next one I'm going to share, slightly different. This person shared that they clogged the toilet at someone's house that they were dating. It was a party too. Thankfully, they had saved themselves though. I feel like this is a very common one.
Mm.
Being in like the other person's home
Mhm.
or apartment or whatever it is, kind of fucking up something of theirs, property. In this case, a washroom, and not really knowing how to get out of it. Um,
yeah.
this is a tough one too. I feel like it kind of we have to think about the same question. How do you deal with that? You be upfront, be like, hey, listen here, you got a little problem with your plumbing. May or may not have been caused after I used the washer, but um, thankfully it seems like it was a party. So there's ways to be discreet about that. There's ways to be incognito. You let
Mm.
someone else go into the washroom, you go in after them and pull up and like, yo, what do you say? This guy blocked clogged the toilet. I wonder if that's how they did it. I can imagine the person who submitted this answer may have dealt with it that way.
Mhm.
But have either of you ever found yourselves in a position of this sort? I feel like it's something that like
Yeah.
you're like hyper aware of.
Oh, for sure.
All right. So I've done this. Okay. Can I say
Okay.
that?
Hey man.
Yeah.
Hey man. This is a place of honesty. Remember, you gotta remember.
But the thing is, the big difference for me is I do this at work.
Okay.
Right.
So this is
So
not the same.
That's the
Very
thing. No,
different.
but I'll tell you the similarities and the differences here.
Okay.
Mhm.
You know, I was 3 cups of coffee in.
Hmm.
I think I was
One of
7
those
bananas in.
ones.
Okay.
Wait.
You know, I had a lot of bananas that morning as well. But that's kind of
Mm.
a good thing. You got to get the thing flowing. You know, eat
Right.
your bananas as well. So I went in the bathroom. I did the thing, and then I was flushing. And it's a very scary thing in the moment because you're like, I don't want people to see this poop kind of rise.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know. And so you keep flushing and you're like, oh my God, you just keep flushing the thing and then it just keeps rising and rising. Now, luckily, this is a workplace. So I just told management, they eventually had it fixed. Now, to do it at someone's house is horrifying,
Mm.
right? It's the scariest thing ever. And yeah, you can't fix it. You have to tell them.
Mhm.
How else are you gonna try to solve it? But all you have is toilet paper and like conditioner bottles with this much left, but they're not gonna get rid of it because I think they're gonna keep flip it upside down and then keep it there. But that's always annoying. Like,
You've given us
Man.
a lot of
well,
techniques. Thank you.
well, I don't want to. I'm putting you guys on game. I know.
For real.
Hey, when there's a little bit of soap left, flip it.
Just
Then you
upside down.
get because then the soap from the top falls, and then you just squeeze it easy.
Yeah.
You know. So that's your tip today
Thank
there.
you. Thank you.
But ultimately, yeah, it's horrible. I feel so sorry for you. I want to know the end of the story. Like
Mm.
I
How
saved.
did you save yourself?
They saved themselves, but I want to know how you saved themselves.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I very similarly had a situation like this at work, but this is when I was working in university. But unlike Univig, I didn't have the courage to tell management. So I opted to deal with it on my own. And yeah, things got messy. I somehow like stealthily left the washroom to grab like a wire coat hanger, and MacGyvered
Oh.
that to my advantage. I was elbow deep into the toilet at one point, doing what I had to do.
Oh
It's pretty
my
terrible. I know.
goodness.
I know. Oh
Hmm.
no. Oh no.
It's mad. That was
Bad.
mad. That was mad.
Yeah, it's pretty
That's
terrible. I completed the rest of that shift, like nothing happened,
Mhm.
and this is the first time I think I'm actually ever telling anyone about it, because yeah, at that point in time, see, here's the thing: as I was working at like a tele-fundraising booth at my university,
Mhm.
so we're calling alumni to ask them for donations, and this is just it's just the worst thing ever. You're talking to recent grads and you're like, would you like to make a donation? You get people yelling at you, being like, I'm fucking $40,000 in debt. You want me to donate? Like, it gets, yeah, wasn't pleasant always. Um, yeah, I just really dreaded it. And for a moment, I was like, oh, I should just leave this toilet. But I'm like, there's like 8 of us in here.
Mm.
Everyone knows I've been in here for about 45 minutes already. Yeah, really put myself in a
yeah.
precarious position, and I've spoken about this story for far too long already.
Mm.
But yes, it got murky. Never want to be in that situation. There's like a good Broad City episode about this. I feel like where
Ooh.
Ilana has,
Of course, Alana.
yeah, 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 or I can't remember if it's in the washroom. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or she ends up like taking a shit somewhere else. Anyways,
Mhm.
good episode. Precarious situation to find yourself in. Um, okay, let's move on to. I'm gonna skip one and move to another one here. This one's a bit of a horror story, and I think this opens up a whole different can of worms. This person has given us 2 stories, both from Toronto. Both were engaging with white people. And
Is
The
it
disclaimer right
the
there.
person who
white
submitted
people?
them, a person of color. So first story, on the third date, they take off their shoes at dinner in the restaurant and put their feet up in the booth, um, and jokingly call me both a taxi driver and Mohammed. Then uses the N word, repeating a Chris Rock joke. Um, let's just stop there. Let's just try to unpack that for a while.
Wow.
First of all, the shoes off at the dinner is like I don't know. I don't know how I would have reacted in that moment.
Would you not like just your?
Vomit.
Would you? I mean, not even vomit, but your face would say everything. Because like,
truthfully.
and then you probably ask the person like, "Look, why,
Yeah,
why
yeah,
are your
yeah,
shoes
yeah, yeah.
off right now?
Are you
Why?
good? Yeah, my
Are you
first question.
good?"
I gotta come clean. The first thing I think of when I think about this is that Tarantino film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where
Mhm.
like several times throughout the film there's like the bare souls, oftentimes like dirty and kind of gross souls of these like women is like put on display. This is like speaks towards Quentin Tarantino's weird ass foot fetish, but is also something that you just like see in the film a lot. And I remember like
So weird.
feeling very uncomfortable seeing this. I'm just like, oh, this is the dirty bottoms of people see here. And that was through a film. So and that's just like one layer of it, you know, the fact that
Mm.
this person thought it was funny to call him a taxi driver and call him Muhammad. That's yeah, at that point I don't know how the person who submitted this managed to still stay
Yeah.
at dinner.
I really like no disrespect to the person who submitted this,
Of
but
course.
why didn't you leave? Or like why? But the thing is, I do find like a lot of people do that. They end up staying in dates
Mm,
they're like terrible or that they're bored of or that something
mm.
the person does something kind of crazy, but they still stay towards the end. I don't know. Does your whole body not not want
Yeah.
to like leave?
Mm.
Yeah. Fucking stabbed on your fucking your dinner knife through their bare foot.
Okay,
My
okay,
God.
okay, okay, okay. I
Oh,
don't know about all that. Whoa,
Sorry.
whoa, 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 whoa.
okay.
Sorry. We don't
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
we
This
don't
is
whoa,
condone
funny. This is
violence.
funny.
We don't condone
whoa.
violence. We don't condone
We don't
violence.
condone violence
Sorry.
here.
None of that. I do need to get to the root of this problem. Now,
Please.
have you guys dated white people before?
Mm-mm.
Either of you?
No.
I haven't either. So
Okay.
I don't know what this is like personally. Like I've never. Okay, peace to our white listeners. Okay, we do have some, and
Peace. We do. We do.
you guys are cool. All right,
We
but
appreciate you.
I've never, I guess, had wanted to have that experience. I'll
Mm.
say,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
there's just there's other people out there
Mm-hmm.
and they're better. And I've been on some dates, right?
Mhm.
With non-white. Okay, I'm gonna be
Please
real.
continue.
I've only dated like very intelligent, women of color, and
Mhm.
this will never happen to me. You
Yeah.
know, like I first of all, I also think it's hilarious that she's repeating a Chris Rock joke but emphasizing the N word probably.
Oh yeah.
Like come on, what are you trying to do here? You want me to stay or and that's also a question, like why didn't this, we're all wondering why didn't they leave, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And for me, like maybe that's what they're used to, as
Yes.
in
Yeah.
like they've been on dates with people like this
Hmm.
and this is like the bar now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think something that also comes across. I mean, these are the questions that come to my mind. Is like one, uh, are you sharing the joke, or like what part of the joke do you find funny? You know, that's like
Yeah.
when when I think about it. I mean, this is something that like non-white, just non-black people in general, I've seen this kind of occur. Like I this is something that I vividly remember going to watch Django in movie theaters when I was in high school.
Mhm.
I grew up in Pickering, Ontario. While there is a fair amount of like non-white people living here, it's still a predominantly white place, especially when I was in high school. And I remember seeing that movie in theaters, and I remember for like specifically when Samuel L. Jackson's character kind of like enters the scene in Django, um, and him just like speaking the way he does, like with his accent, and of course like and using the N word as well. This theater like really howling, like really laughing, and I remember thinking to myself, like even then at 15, I'm like, I don't know if they're laughing because like here's this man just like using the N-word and like that's what you find funny.
Mm,
Or if like there's if it's to do with like the voice that he's putting on and that like what he's saying is that funny. Because I'm like, I don't find it that funny. I find that it's like, you know, humorous and like he's clearly meant to be like a dramatic and maybe a bit over the top in the way that he speaks. But um yeah, I couldn't help but feel like uncomfortable in this sense because I'm just like, oh yeah, I feel like you're just like laughing at the use of this word because that's what's funny to you. Uh and that in and of itself is kind of the most uncomfortable part, right?
mm,
um and yeah, just in general, I'm always kind of curious, particularly when someone is compelled to use that word when like repeating particularly like a joke in this case. My first thought is always, yeah, what is actually funny to you? Is it, you know, the fact that you're repeating this joke and you somehow think that, you know, it's now okay to say this word because I didn't say it, Chris Rock said it, you know? It's like, shut the
so
hell
stupid.
up.
It's just like common sense. Or I feel like sometimes like they just have the urge to say the word. Like it's like a
Mm-hmm.
dying thing deep down in their heart. They're like, I just want to say this word once.
That's right.
And then they're like, you know what? I'll use it. I'll use the word in a way where it's like I'm not actually using the word in a derogatory term, right? Just like in songs, I'm sure they're so excited to go to concerts that, you know, their favorite artist has the N word in and they could say it out loud. No one's not, well, I don't know who's going to pay attention to them, but some people will. And you're getting rocked if anyone hears you
Oh dear.
even trying to say it.
Yeah. Navik and I were at a Brockhampton concert once, and definitely some some white kids got rocked for
Oh,
thinking it was
shit.
okay. That was pretty funny.
Yeah,
Um
just know it comes with consequences.
Yeah.
concert.
Jeez.
Yeah, don't catch Lateefa at a Brockhampton concert
No, we would
being white.
never. We don't condone
Oh, that's right. That's right.
violence. What do you
Oh, the whole no
mean?
violence
Come on,
thing.
I'm so
No
sorry. I'm so sorry.
violence.
Yeah.
No violence. Only certain
Okay.
Only certain times, only certain times.
Also, sorry, I want to say real quick
Mm,
for this guy, I was a brown man as well. Once you're called Muhammad or taxi driver, you gotta get out of there immediately. Like, there's no thinking
facts.
about it. You gotta respect yourself
yeah.
and leave that situation, my guy. Like,
Hmm,
come on,
hmm. Yes,
you can't be
precisely.
letting them do that.
Exactly.
Precisely. Yeah. I mean, first of all, it's like it's just not funny. Like
Mm,
there's yeah, it's not funny. And second of all, yeah, it's just offensive as shit. So it's a shame because this person has submitted a second story with another white person.
damn.
Uh and this one just as shocking, equally as shocking. This time again on a third date, we were both walking her dog at a park in Niagara Falls that overlooks the gorge. Unprompted and for no apparent reason, they go, do you know what people call these parks? Packy parks. Because all these brown people come here in huge groups and have barbecues and shit and ruin it for everyone else. I actually had to turn to them and say, you know that I'm Arab, right? And my family comes here and does that too. I wasn't even sure where to start on how offensive that was. Um, yeah, I mean, fucking hell. This is you know, no, I was about to say no
It's like I
offense
don't
to,
even
I
know
was
where to
like,
start. Where do you start?
I was
Wow.
about to say no offense to anyone from Niagara Falls, but that sounds like a real Niagara Falls white person joke right there.
Yeah, it's just the joke is terrible. It's pretty, joke wise, it just
There's
doesn't
no
hit.
0 to 10. There's
exactly.
no joke here,
Sometimes I
friends.
really wonder like what do you find funny? What is your humor? Like
Yeah, what is their
what is your
humor?
humor? How is that
Precisely.
funny?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. But I also have a question for you guys. Like this is a third date that they
Mm-hmm.
figured out that they're trash.
Mm-hmm.
go off, Navik. I know where this go. Go off. Go off. Tell
Now,
it.
usually usually like when I'm on a first date is when you figure out if the person kind of sucks or not, right?
Yeah.
And then you might give them one more chance for a second, and then they prove you again.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's for me. I get it right off the bat. But do you guys sense that, or do you keep giving them chances and kind of figuring things out?
Right, like definitely first date for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I have never dated kind of properly in this sense. My partner and I got to know one another as friends for a really long time, and prior to that, I wasn't kind of actively dating. So, I'm really not the person to speak to on this.
Mm,
Mind you, I can absolutely speak to this in terms of getting to know people just in general, or meeting someone for the first time, kind of spending one-on-one time with them. Definitely, I think for me, it's fairly clear, or I think I can really hone in on like the way that they communicate, the way they listen, as well, and like
mhm,
what they have
mhm,
to say based on certain questions. So, not to say that it's like a test, you know. Of course, you want to just keep things natural and try and learn about them and not, compromise too much of yourself, because I certainly fall into a trap of like making my first interactions with people like interviews, because it's so easy for me to just keep asking the questions, um, and walk away, being like, oh, I didn't really talk about myself, nor did I really share that much about myself. And yeah, kind of twofold in the sense where it's like, it's not like they weren't asking questions. I just kept going.
mm,
So yeah, maybe not the best person to ask on that front. However, I do want to add to this a little bit and kind of go on a bit of a tangent here. But I think in both of these cases, I like the first thing that came to my mind is is the way that like our in individual cases like this, or kind of like en masse, the ways in which like our proximity to whiteness can really kind of like can really give way to like
mhm,
these are really horrible things, being said or being shared, like in confidence, or kind of being shared with the expectation that you're like not going to, uh, you're not going to like confront whatever's being said.
mhm,
And what I kind of mean to say is like it, you know, I think on one hand, it can be often internalized because of how like pervasive, whiteness kind of is all around us, in
mhm,
which like, yeah, when we enter like a bigger, or like a heavily kind of white dominated space, and we code switch, or we kind of like keep certain parts of ourselves to ourselves, and share different parts, etc. We can gain like an acceptance in that space, right?
mhm,
um, and by way of that, kind of building, right, where it becomes like a two-way street is one, it can be really easy to internalize it. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself as a result of this very much being a part of my kind of lived experience, where I did like let that get to my head, to be like, yeah, 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 like I'm accepted, like I can navigate these spaces, I can roam these like, you know all vanilla places and get by.
mm,
um but it was also where it became apparent to me that people are like sharing white people in particular are sharing their especially racist or anti-black
for
sentiments,
sure.
like, in my presence, because they've assumed that I share an identical perspective to them, by way of all the
Mm,
other things that I've like clearly shown that, I either like took a liking to, or convinced myself that I liked, or it's maybe even stayed silent about, right?
mm,
And I'm like, only in retrospect can I say now, I'm like, you only shared that with me because you didn't think I'd have a problem with it or have an objection to it. Because I'm like, in what other circumstance would you look at like a brown person
Yeah.
and be like, oh yeah, these places are called Packy Parks, it's like, Jesus Christ, are you that thick,
Mm.
or were you so certain that this person had like passed your test of of like validity, right?
mm,
um to then share this and be like, oh yeah, they're gonna agree with me, um and that's like a scary thing to be like, oh shit, like this is what can come to light by way of kind of being in these spaces. And in some cases, for a lot of people, is like, I think about that now, I'm like, oh, on one hand, I definitely may have done that for acceptance in a place like Pickering, or even where I went to university. um but I think it was also like as a means of like survival. I was also very much afraid of like being othered, rather than maybe kind of standing standing my own ground and being like, it doesn't matter what these white people think, right? It doesn't
Mhm.
matter how they feel about me. Um, but yeah, some food for thought, because that's the first thing that came to mind. I was like, in two instances, god damn,
Mm.
um, what was going on? And this is, of course, no knock on the person who submitted these questions, right? Um,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, this guy's having a bad time, you know.
For real.
He's like,
really.
they're all racist to him. They diss him like to his face. Very bad time. Oh no, this is recent too, November
Yeah, that I
2020.
was literally just gonna say the last one should have never happened in 2020. Like,
Mm,
Still out here, you know.
ugh,
Shout out to Niagara
yeah,
Falls. Watch your
yeah.
back.
for real, for real. Literally, watch your back.
um, okay, let's
Mm,
I'm gonna
okay.
skip to one here that changes the tone a little bit, or maybe we've segued our tone into this, because this one I think is is one worth reflecting on too. Um, Someone has shared here that their boyfriend of 4 years ended their relationship over text on Christmas Eve by sending a pre-recorded message. Prior to this, we had lived together. Um, wow, that's not only incredibly heartbreaking and kind of devastating. I really can't imagine what it would be like to experience it in that way. But so many questions come up for me. I'm curious to know what comes up for you when the two of you see this.
Mm.
I guess
Uh,
it's like why? Like, yeah. Like, why did you think that sending a pre-recorded message was the right thing to do? Or if
Yeah.
anything, did you think out the circumstances before doing it? Like, did you play out, okay, if I do option one, option two, option three, taking into consideration that it was a 4-year relationship and they lived together, was that really the right thing to do? Like, in your head, did you
mm.
not ask yourself that question before doing that?
Hmm.
Now, yeah, what I think is this person is not a regular person. They're no longer a human like on our
For
level.
real. For
Like
real.
he is he's living with her, and he also broke up with her via text.
Yeah.
They're in the same like apartment probably, right? And he still like sent it, which is like I could never even have like the gall to kind of get the courage together to do that, you
Yeah.
know?
Were
Like
they
that's
wait, were they
outrageous.
living together at the moment? Remind me.
They did. They
Oh,
had lived together. Yeah.
they had or like or that during that time where he broke up with her.
Yeah. So I'm doing a little bit of a presumption here. I
Mhm.
imagine that they were living together. Maybe
Okay.
over Christmas break, they had gone to spend time with their families.
Oh.
Maybe is what I
Okay.
imagine. And
Okay.
Mm,
while they're apart, right?
Yeah.
That's the presumption kind of made here. Because yeah, you're an absolute sicko if you're fucking
For
sitting in the same
real.
living room and
mm.
you then said, "Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly." Yeah, I just want to.
And then the
Oh my
person
god.
comes out of the door.
Yeah,
Sorry, I just had to.
I just had to get it off my chest. Hit send and send. You sicko. You absolute
Imagine.
sicko.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Wow. Um. Yeah. Yeah. Seriously, so many questions in terms of. I mean, Lateefa, in terms of what you said, was like, was this the right thing to do?
Yeah.
I can't help but wonder, like, um, because I think in a situation like this, like, w- lots of things come up. First thing is like your like courage slash your respect for another person, like
Mhm.
not, even if it was a matter of like you being like too afraid to kind of do it, it's like you there's another person involved here, and working under the assumption, I think, based on, again, maintaining respecting this person's anonymity, based on what I know of this person, what I've known of this person. I trust that they're not an abusive or ill-intended person, nor have they kind of caused caused historically caused any harm or kind of shown any signs of danger in terms of entering a relationship. Mind you,
Mm,
it's context. Hey, this is 4 years of
I
being
know.
together. Um, so the questions that come up to me are like, how long were you dwelling on this for? And two, what stopped you from doing it in person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's what kind of comes to mind for you. Sorry, Nivek, are you're thinking to say something?
Oh no, I was just saying. I was just thinking like, because there is the other side to this.
For
Like
sure.
you're wondering if is that person too afraid to approach them to do it in person.
Mm,
We don't really know the story, but maybe I don't know the person who sent it. Maybe they're this phenomenal person, and then this person that sent the text is on another level of wildness.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, but yeah, so that's the thing. Like, you want to hate this guy. That's the thing. That's the thing, right? Off this message,
Certainly
you
do.
want to immediately
Mm-hmm.
say this guy's terrible. He's the worst. He doesn't care about her or whatever. But sometimes you kind of got to hear both sides to it.
that you're right. You're very right. And
Yep.
breakups can be hard if they were there. Like if they were together for 4 years, then I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure it wasn't easy for him, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Which not that it like it's right,
Yes, of
but
course.
I guess like Navik was saying, someone who doesn't like confrontation or knows how to bring up a topic
Mm-hmm.
like this, the easiest thing for them to do is to text it through a voice message
Yeah.
pre-recorded.
Yeah.
That's
Fuck.
pre-recorded.
It's the
Okay.
pre-recorded part of it
So he
is
wrote
the
a
most
script for sure. Let
is
me
the most
tell you
fucked up
that.
part. Yeah,
He
yeah,
had a
yeah.
script in front of him the whole time.
I just imagine like the CBC podcast intro, like coming doom 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 doom. This motherfucker panning his voice from one ear to another.
No, maybe it doesn't sound. This doesn't sound sad
Yeah,
enough.
yeah, I'm gonna do this.
You gotta
I,
sound
I just
sadder.
I just want to let you I just want to let you know this is chopped up in parts, so transitions may not be great.
Oh my
You sicko,
goodness.
Mhm.
you sicko for that one. I'll say that. But you're right. You know
Uh,
what? It's a tough one, because when you think about when you're prioritizing like the person who's being hurt in a situation, right? You always it's the first thing that comes to mind is like how does this person feel like how does this person see through their like justice or like their
mm,
kind of healing in this case, um but even in that instance where we think about that, um we kind of need to think about like in terms of the other person. I think this is like something that uh I think Navek and I even talked about, when this is almost like 2 years ago, we kind of talked
mm,
about like wanting to transition away from like the disposability, just like of
mm,
people in general, right?
mm,
Which is a hard thing to do, right? It's a
mm-hmm.
hard thing, especially as the person who's taken on the hurt, right? Who's been hurt.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and rarely do I think it is rarely, if not ever, do I necessarily think it's the responsibility of the person who's being hurt to see through that like
for
compassion for the
sure.
other person, right?
For sure,
It will
yeah.
always kind of be on their timeline to let that person back into their life or forgive them or,
Yeah.
not, like see through whatever, consequence they feel is just or feels right by them.
Yeah.
But simultaneously, it's still another person on the other end, right?
Exactly.
And yeah, as much as we have to like as much as we all have the kind of potential to like cause great harm, I'd like to trust, 8 times out of 10 it's not something we do with intent to harm, right?
Mm,
um Mind you, I'm not trying to necessarily outweigh impacts, with emotion or intentions, right?
mm-hmm.
Because the impact is certainly something we have to consider. But um yeah, it's a tough one. And I think if you've ever kind of been maybe a friend in a situation where you've been friends with both parties in a relationship, right? And wanting to support both people, that can become really challenging too. But yeah, ultimately, I certainly hope the person who shared this with us, is feeling some sense of maybe relief, or not relief, sorry, but some sense of calm. Yeah,
Mm,
maybe some sense of
closure, maybe.
closure. Yeah,
Mm,
absolutely. Because yeah, that's sounds incredibly painful.
Yeah, I
yeah.
think time is really interesting here as well, because what I would assume, like once you hit 3 years in a relationship, you might be thinking of like marriage being a potential option. I would assume,
Wow.
and to hit 4 years, and then I guess to be hit, with that kind of text is just like devastating, you know.
Couldn't imagine.
Because
Yeah.
like when people lock in for marriage, they think like the next 50, 40 to 50, which is kind of I
Based
gotta be
on your blood
realistic.
level, your blood sugar levels, just based on
Yeah.
that. Keep that in
Hey,
mind.
hey, just to let everybody know, get your colonoscopies, get your checkups. We're hitting there. We're getting up there.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So
Getting up there. Thank
just
you.
I don't know, I don't really 100% know what that is. I just know it's important to get it done. All right,
What
and I know
colonoscopy is?
I also know some of the details. I don't know the full health values of it, but I just
Okay.
know somebody's got to look. You know, they got to get that digital setup and they got to look up there, what's up there, you know, and adjust your diet,
This suddenly became into a very weird
Wow.
adjust
life
your
coaching
diet,
session.
go vegan maybe.
Yeah, I was literally about to say you missed that part too.
I'm I'm making say let me let you guys know I'm making some choices and I'm changing some things
Go.
Nice.
in my life and I hope you guys do the same. All right.
Thanks. Thanks, Nabik. Thanks for
Thank
looking
you
out
and you're
for us.
welcome. Yeah.
Oh my days. Okay, so we've kind of worked through the submissions that we got. Thank you, everyone, for sharing there, giving us some experiences to reflect on here. Let's quickly transition into some questions. One that we had submitted, and a couple that I wanted to ask you too as well. Cheeky one, I'm gonna ask you here. This one was submitted by a listener. How do we feel about bathrobes? Is this a thing that people are judging slash looking for? And I'll add here. What does it say about a person if they've got a bathrobe on deck?
Elegance.
Mm, okay. Okay.
Taste. Flavor.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? The whole package. That means in their mind they think they're a bad bitch because if
Okay.
they come out
Yeah.
and they're like, "Ah, I'm crowning myself with this robe," that means you take care of yourself. Ah, that is prime example that you take care of yourself.
True.
So,
True.
no judgment. Anyone who has a bathrobe, keep having your bathrobe.
Keep having
Keep that. And do you have any words of advice for people who don't have bathrobes?
Get one.
Okay.
Let me tell you, it's a game changer.
Okay. What about you, Nabik? Any thoughts here?
You already know where I stand on this. I am extreme cozy boy till I die. Okay. I'm not even playing here. I'm rolling out the plan to move out, as I mentioned.
Hmm.
I'm getting the nice, pajamas. First of all, let's be real. We all buy the pajama bottoms and we wear a ratty
Facts.
t-shirt, right?
Doing
Most
that
of
right
us.
now. Doing that right now. 100%.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm throwing that away. I'm leaving my old habits behind. I'm getting the proper uniform sleepwear.
Okay.
Okay. It's gonna be silky, by the way.
I definitely. Oh my god, Nivek, do it. I have a silk pair. I feel like a queen every time I sleep.
Mhm.
Damn.
I'm
Yeah,
telling you, do it. Game changer.
it
Damn.
is. And sheet silky. Would you agree?
Ooh,
Jesus.
ooh, yes, for sure.
Hmm.
Damn.
Um, the bed and the transition from the bed to your balcony or bed to the kitchen to make breakfast is an important thing you should consider in your life.
What balcony?
You
What
know,
balcony
I'm also
do you have out the
assuming.
fucking suburbs? Don't play with me.
um,
Don't
I mean,
toy with me.
if you have a home, go outside on your damn porch. You know what I
Okay.
mean. You know the vibes, and then you put the bathrobe on, you tie it up nice, and then I would also recommend, if you are alone, then get a second one for your partner or the homie. He can
Hmm.
use, he or she or them could use one as well. Don't even Don't even think about that because everybody could use a nice soft bathrobe.
Wow, I've learned a lot here. I've taken away that one, it's good for the skin, it's good for the health. Sounds like it. Two, Latifah, you raised a good point. It says a lot about the ways in which someone is willing to kind of take care of themselves, pamper themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe a little telling of the respect they got for themselves, which is never a bad
Mm-hmm.
thing. If anything, something for all of us to strive towards. So, thanks for that question. To the person who submitted that, keeping you anonymous.
Yeah. Real quick,
Yes,
sorry, disconnected.
please.
Uh, how many towels do you guys use a week?
Like one towel a week,
Hmm.
and then pretty much.
And then you wash it and then use
Well, I
it
have like
again.
two. Yeah, no, I had two different
Okay.
ones, so I'll
Okay.
alternate. But yeah,
Okay.
weekly I change them.
Okay, damn.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just have one towel, just keep it in rotation. I mean, I wash it and then use it
Mhm.
again. How many do you have to make?
Yeah.
Okay, I only do two. I only do the Monday to Wednesday, Monday to Thursday, and then one for the rest of the week.
Oh,
Okay.
Right? I have heard of the one towel per day people.
wow.
Right? Yeah, some people like to keep it extremely clean. This can only have
Damn.
one kind of dry and then it's done. Then it's in the
Damn.
rotation for next week. I just think
Okay.
that's excessive, but I think, 1 to 3 is healthy, I think.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with that.
I agree.
I have to
But
agree. Even three sounds a bit excessive, but two makes sense. I think two
Two,
makes sense.
yeah. If it's just
yeah,
you, then two. Yeah, two definitely.
Exactly. And like you said, having a sleepover with your friend, somebody needs a
Exactly.
towel, boom,
Yeah.
you're sorted.
Yeah.
mm,
Um, very good. Okay. True. If you're watching this on YouTube, let us know in the comments, how many towels you got. I always
how
got to
many
throw in a
towels you
cheeky
got?
one here. This is how we're playing into the YouTube algorithm
Wow!
here.
Wow! Wow!
Mm,
Wow!
Take notes, marketing.
For
You
it's
real.
called
see,
marketing. You
it's
guys
called
know, you know.
marketing. What are you saying?
I went to Ryerson, bro.
Exactly. Exactly.
It says on my resume I graduated in marketing, all right, and not entrepreneurship. So,
Let
you
him
know.
know. Let him know, man. Um, okay, we're gonna transition a little bit here with these next two questions because as much as we focused a lot on romantic relationships and dating, we also think it's just as important for us to reflect on, think about our friendships in our lives. I think
Mm,
especially throughout this pandemic, but just in general, I think there's a lot of really cool writing out there. Um, just about thinking about love and thinking about the way we love for one another being expanding past just romantic relationships, extending
mm-hmm.
that love and extending the way we love into our friendships as well, which much like uh navigating romantic relationships, especially this past year, friendships were hard to maintain for a variety of reasons, and I think it definitely gave me lots to think about, in terms of not only how I kind of take care of relationships, but what the like pillars of some friendships were, like what was keeping some friendships together
Mm.
in the first place. So I'm curious to ask, maybe I'll start with you, Lateefa. How have you found it maintaining your friendships, almost this past year?
Good question. I think it's honestly it's just been phone calls or text, but after a while, I think all of us kind of got really tired and burnt out from that, especially the times where you were quarantined.
Definitely.
Um, I don't know. It's like finding a fine balance. I tend to be that friend. I don't know whether that's good or bad, but you don't have to talk to me for like weeks, and I'm still fine with that because I respect that we all have our lives.
For sure.
Um, so yeah, it didn't affect me too much, but I think in terms of maintaining it, I'm very much a person who likes the physical aspect of being around your friends. So definitely like
Absolutely.
missing that, and how can I incorporate that virtually? I think like during the pandemic, like what are things that we can do? Can we do Zoom calls? Can we watch shows together online? Does that mean we just FaceTime each other when we're bored? Like I know that me and one of my other close friends, we'd probably FaceTime each other like every day. Hey, what are you doing? Nothing. Same shit, different day. Yeah, I'm having this
Yeah.
for dinner. Cool, I'm having this. All right, cool.
Like, yeah.
Literally, like what?
Virtual
Yeah,
daps.
exactly. It's like the, and I'm sure like you guys have also experienced this, but the part of like filling people up on your life, there was none of that,
Yeah.
right? There was no, hey, I did this over the weekend, or I did this during the week. So the conversations were pretty mundane. They were like
Mm.
pretty meh, right? So you'd probably
Yo,
talk
what are
to,
you saying?
yeah,
Yo, what are you
what do you
saying?
say?
Yo,
Yeah,
what are you
exactly,
saying?
exactly. So it's just yeah, it was interesting, but I think like, so one thing, one of my friends, she got this card game called Combo and Chill. Because I don't, I
Oh,
find that
cool.
like sometimes, even though like you're close friends with people, you don't have these like deep conversations, or I don't know, intellectual conversations sometimes.
Hmm.
So using a card game can kind of probe that. um and I guess that's how we kind of got our footing back in maintaining the friendship, or maintaining the flow of the friendship.
Wow. I like that. I love that there was like a willingness to like adapt a little bit, right?
Mm,
Yeah, and it very much sounds like a telling sign, right, of the kind of willingness to stay connected and maintain that, right?
yeah,
Um, that's really brilliant. You're right. You're so right. There does become a point where it's just like this is like there's only so much you can do virtually, right?
yeah,
And that's like a hard thing. It's a hard thing to like accept when you know that like sometimes like even just like sitting in like the same room and you could be like talking about absolute nonsense, it still feels
exactly.
better, it still
Yeah,
feels comfortable, it still is like just the shared physical space is
yeah,
yeah, it
yeah,
speaks for itself in that way, right?
yeah. And it's
um
definitely, I feel like, I think we all probably felt bad about like not reaching out to our friends, but like it's, I feel like in a time like this, it's okay because
mm-hmm.
what
Yeah.
what can you really do? You yourself are trying to deal with this pandemic and your own life, and yeah, just giving like, I guess, grace or like patience to that.
Mm-hmm. That's no, that's such a great point. I remember really, I mean, probably April May last year. I remember someone like tweeting, like keep an eye out, who reaches out to you and who checks in on you during this pandemic, like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
will really
yeah,
show
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And I remember being like spooked by that for a moment, just being like, oh man, I'm being such a bad friend for like not checking in on like, so many people. Um, but then I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, this is actually very backwards, and this is clearly being tweeted by someone who feels neglected right now, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
And this person clearly
Mhm.
needs some love, and that's fair. It sounds like they need people in their lives who care about them and reciprocate maybe the efforts that they're putting out into the world. But to add to that, like to pretend like people's circumstances in like so many different aspects of your lives like didn't get rocked, flipped upside down from this pandemic, is like so incredibly unfair, whether
For
it's like
sure.
your health, whether it's like your family's health, whether it's navigating like the transitions of work or school or you're volunteering, or if you're an artist, just like how do I produce my art, how do I create my art, how do I make a living,
Mm.
it's like so many things, like just like navigating the challenges that exist in the world if you are someone who's disabled, if you are like if you're black in Toronto, if you're working precarious work, precarious labor, like so many challenges already. So like while I don't want to say it's not important to like check in with your friends and maintain these relationships, like we do have to extend just this extra ounce of compassion, right? To be like, this is still a pandemic. Doesn't mean that like I can't feel like I want to feel more connected to you. Of course not. And it's important to acknowledge that. It's important to say, yo, Lateefa, we haven't spoken in a little while, and this was something that we did a lot before, and I want to work on that. I want to feel that
Mm.
connection again. There's nothing wrong
Mm.
with saying that. But yeah, you raise a great point. That's like we really can't hold that against one another. But at the same time, like there's nothing wrong with acknowledging like, hey, I I really miss hanging out, or I really miss like feeling connected, and like this is something I want to do. Is everything okay? How are you managing with this? What kind of changes have you had to take on in your life, and is there still room for this friendship? Right, that's a tough
Yeah.
conversation to have, but it's important to ask, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, what about you, Nivek? What has it been like for you, maintaining your friendships, or potentially even making new ones through this pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I have friends from 10th grade that I've probably spoken to maybe 5 times since the beginning of the pandemic.
Mm.
And it's understood, you know, that, we're just not speaking just because there's nothing really, there's not
Mm-hmm.
much to say, as you mentioned. There really
Right.
isn't much to say other than, I'm watching this, you're watching this, check this out. You're sending memes, TikToks that are like,
Yeah.
wild TikToks as well. And that really brings people together in a
Right.
way, and especially in these times, like that's really what can bring people together is TikToks and
Yeah.
which crypto to invest in, crypto
Oh right.
time. We're going. I want everybody to know I'm putting in my life savings into Ethereum right now, and we're going all in. All right, ETH, Bitcoin. We're going to 60-40 split. You already know.
Oh my god.
No, I'm kidding. No, don't do that. But just go in though. Trust me. Um, but yeah, all those things, like, you can't be there personally, so you're trying to connect in another way. And there are certain friends that I've been able to speak to quite often
Mm-hmm.
via these platforms. Some that I haven't spoken to often, but I know that when we link up, hopefully, we're aiming for, let's say, October. Maybe.
Who
I
knows?
mean,
Hopefully,
yeah,
yeah. Really and
like
truly.
yeah, it's funny. The months I keep pushing the months. I
Yeah,
said
yeah, yeah.
July once last year. I said August. I'm saying September for a little bit. Now I'm going October, right?
Yeah.
And I know once we link in October, it's gonna be like February 2020,
Oh.
which is probably the last time I saw them. It's gonna be
Right.
regular again.
Right.
You
You
know.
hope. You hope. You really hope. I really. I thought about this to myself. I'm like, I anticipate struggling to be in like largely populated places again. I anticipate it just being like a bit of a shock and like needing to like recalibrate a little bit. Regularly, I feel very comfortable navigating them,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm interested as much as I am anxious to be like, how is my body going to just take on the stimulation and like, this just like change, because it's a legit thing, like it's just
Mhm.
not something I've really been in, even in like the summertime where like the handful of times that I did enter like a shopping mall, right? I was like, this is really weird, this is just really strange being in the space right now. So we'll see. I really don't know what it will be like, but we'll wait for that day. And yeah, if anything, I really do. I really can't wait for that to happen. I mean, what is one kind of social activity with your friends that you most look forward to doing when it's safe to?
Probably a lot of hookah. I just can't wait to get on the pipe. Like that's the first thing I've been dreading. Like I need a puff. I need to get a big stick and I need to inhale it and pass it
I'm
to 8 people.
so dead.
That's the thing.
Imagine that's what you used to do
Yeah.
Well, luckily
in a
we
pandemic. I mean, like if shisha spots open again, I think everyone's having their own pipe. That's
Yeah.
it.
That's right.
you know
No way are you sharing that.
I've been fortunate enough to say that, in 2019 I didn't hit the sheesh,
The
but
sheesh.
maybe 2018 was the last time. But I'm looking forward to it maybe in 2021, having mini shishas. Everybody has their own shisha, Everybody got their own watermelon, peanut butter or whatever they got.
Peanut
whatever
butter.
flavor, whatever
Wow,
flavors
wow,
they got
wow.
now. I don't know.
Sounds
Um,
crazy.
mm,
How about you, Lateefa? What's
Um,
your
Probably going to restaurants and like
mm,
eating out.
yeah.
Yeah, I miss just going to like an all-you-can-eat sushi
Ooh, yeah.
restaurant, talking, eating, talking, eating. The good times.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have to
Yeah.
say the same. I would I was gonna say cooking and sharing food
Yeah.
with some friends. Goodness gracious,
Mm-hmm.
that is something that I am certainly going to look forward to doing. You know, who knows? Like you said, Navik, October, November, December, maybe
Lord
2021
have.
or 2022. Shit.
Come on, guys. You
We
don't think the summertime,
I
like,
don't
we
know.
might.
I don't know.
You don't know, mate, do
I don't know.
ya?
I don't
Oh,
know.
bloody hell,
I don't
mate.
know.
You don't know.
It's all a bit mad, isn't it? Um, but listen, Lateefa, Navik, thank you so much for your time, for your energy, for joining us on this Palentine, Palestine episode. Um, you know, we just hope everyone who's listening, you know, you give yourself some time to reflect on your friendships, your romantic relationships. You may be engaged in more than one. We
Mhm.
respect polyamory on the show. Just think about it, you know. And we certainly hope that you're staying in healthy and open and honest relationships wherever you're at. And if not, um, we're not experts, but we're happy to talk to you about it
Definitely not
Yeah.
if you
experts.
need some support. But thanks a lot for listening. This is episode 81. I'm Krish. This is Navek. I got Lateefa here as well. Everyone say bye on three. Bye. One, two, three.
Bye.
See ya.
Grandpa All Mixtapes.